Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast, and today I am so excited for you to meet Romy Vandermeer. She is a certified life coach as well as with over 2 decades of professional experience. She specializes in imposter syndrome coaching, which is dedicated to helping ambitious professionals overcome their own self-doubt and achieve their true potential. She draws from her own experience and learnings as a professional athlete, which I know she's going to go into, to help ambitious professionals kind of banish that imposter syndrome, shatter their self-doubt, and achieve the goals and success that they are striving to achieve. And I know that is super abbreviated. It glosses over so many things. So Romy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you very much for having me, Daniela.
So if you can share more of the specifics of your journey as far as life coach, imposter syndrome coach, and how you help people.
So I knew that I always wanted to do something that is people related, working with people. It was always a thing that I wanted to do. But when I studied many years ago, there was no such thing as life coaching, and I didn't want to do the traditional psychology route. So I ended up studying political science, which I ended up doing nothing with, and I fell into real estate, did that for, goodness, I think 15 years or something like that. And somewhere along the line, an extended family member actually got me into life coaching, and she, through her company, I got my certification. So at that stage, I had the certification, and now what? So immediately I had these feelings of like, who am I to be a life coach now? What experience do I have to turn around and help people? So I ended up signing up for more courses, more programs. I joined all kinds of events, and I learned and absorbed as much as I can to further my knowledge. Got really expensive, and I still wasn't doing anything about it. Shame, and my poor husband was being very, very supportive. And then I remembered one day just going down this rabbit hole, and someone, and I can't remember who it was that said this to me, but someone said to me, if you are already 10 steps ahead of someone, you've already made the mistakes, you've had the heartache, you've gone through everything already, why would you not turn around and help someone and avoid these mistakes? And that just really sat with me. That was such a profound thing. And that's then when I started my own company and started doing the life coaching in earnest, and specifically focusing on the imposter syndrome because of everything that I'd been feeling, and this constant feeling of having to get ready. And there were so many experiences in life that led me to the imposter syndrome. But in a nutshell, that is it.
That's awesome. And I know when we had chatted previously, you shared some of your experience as an athlete definitely helped transfer into feeling, that pressure, that kind of that professionals deal with as well. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I come from a competitive swimming background, and so there was one particular instance. So any kind of athletics is just this massive pressure. There's always this pressure to do personal bests, to break records, to whatever it is. There's always this pressure to really do as well as you possibly can. And there was this one particular instance where I was doing really well at that stage. I had been invited to swim in Germany, in Berlin. And I remember I was seated in the finals next to my, at that stage, absolute idol. And this was such a massive thing for me to be able to compete in the same pool at the same time as my idol. I was really nervous, but really excited at the same time. So anyway, we stood behind the starting blocks, and you have to do this little thing where they call up your name and you have to move forward or take a step forward and acknowledge the crowd. And when I took my step back, my idol, who'd already been called up, she saunters over to my side of the lane. She scoops up some water, takes it in her mouth, and spits it at my feet. And that instant,
that's intimidating.
It the whole race was done and finished at that moment. And I knew it. I knew when she did that, what had happened. And I knew in my mind, I knew I'd done all the work and all the training and all the effort and everything had gone into it. But that simple act shattered my confidence completely. Then, of course, I totally tanked the race. I think I came second last in the race. I was seeded second and I ended up coming second last, something like that. And that then put me on the whole trajectory of like, well, why am I training 40 plus hours a week? Why am I doing all this if I'm going to bomb out anyway? So long story short, I then, the month of Olympic trials, so I had previously done the Olympic qualifying time. The month of the Olympic trials, I quit swimming. And my family will never understand this. But I just, in my heart, I was so shattered from this experience and all the time and the effort and the confirmation that even though I've put all this work and effort into it, I still wasn't achieving, was kind of like the self-fulfilling prophecy that I quit the month of the Olympic trials.
Oh my gosh. I mean, talk about messing with your mind, your head and face and everything before. I mean, to literally spit the water at your feet is she still your idol?
No, she's not anymore. she went on to do No, what she went on to do, she did really, really well. The following Olympics, she actually then bombed out. But no, it's that instant just taught me so much about humility and the confidence, and like there's a difference between having this external confidence and intrinsic confidence, and knowing that you're good, knowing that you have the capabilities versus inherently believing that you have it. So that then fed into my wanting to work on the imposter syndrome or help people with imposter syndrome, because it's all part and parcel of it.
Absolutely. Okay. And definitely that kind of speaks my language as well, because when I talk about mindset, we definitely talk about imposter syndrome. And I think, that is such a powerful, huge hurdle that a lot of times people just kind of ignore. They jump to the actions, jump to the doing without addressing those mental demons in their head, and so where do you start somebody to kind of help them work through that process?
So the very first start is actually understanding, do you really have imposter syndrome or is it situational? So for me, like if you were to Google imposter syndrome, which I'm sure most of your listeners probably would have done, the typical things that come up is like a fear of failure, fear of being exposed as a fraud, high anxiety about making mistakes, huge self-doubt despite accomplishments, difficulty accepting praise, comparing oneself to others. So all of these things are absolutely part of imposter syndrome, but it's so very, very broad that a lot of it will resonate, but it might not necessarily mean that you have imposter syndrome. So for me, it's an inherently subjective thing. And also to mention, it's not a medical disorder like Alzheimer's, for example. So it's an experience that a person had. So for me, you need to really start off by doing an honest internal inventory. And that's really, it's 5 elements. It's situational, quantity, so the amount of times that you're having the feeling, the severity of the feelings. When you have an accomplishment, do you claim the win or is it a sense of relief? And also this constant need or this constant getting ready to get ready. So you need to start by doing that internal inventory. And once you've done that, and yes, you then do have imposter syndrome, and I can gladly go into this in more detail with an example. But so to give an example of this, let's say you've got a presentation coming up in a week's time or whatever it is. There's 2 people, person A and person B. And person A, just for whatever reason, just doesn't prepare for this presentation. And on the day of this presentation, they are suddenly super anxious because they didn't prepare and they're really nervous. Are people going to laugh at him because they're going to make mistakes? They agonize over everything. Like, oh my goodness. But then when they've done the presentation and they actually did a good job, they take the win and they move on and it's over for them. Versus person B, who also knows about this presentation in a week's time. And person B just really gets up in their heads and starts over preparing and really is so meticulous about every single detail, about everything that needs to be done. They agonize over the smallest things. On the day, they're still not confident to deliver the presentation. So then all these thoughts come up when they deliver the presentation and the presentation went well. Instead of claiming it, they're like, oh, thank goodness, it's just a relief, and thank goodness it's over and I'm done with it now. I dodged a bullet. Until next time, when another presentation or another situation comes up, and all these feelings start over again. So that's where it's like going through understanding, is it really imposter syndrome by looking at these 5 steps, or is it situational? And then once you've identified that you do believe that you do have imposter syndrome, then the very, very first thing after you've come up or you've got the awareness is really just to dig into what is it? So is it a specific pattern? I mean, sorry, is it a specific thing that triggers you? Is it a pattern? And just understanding more of what it is. And then once you've identified that, then yes, start going into the reframing it, into the mindset changes, into the building of confidence. And there's just so many things that can be done, but it's really just the awareness, figuring out the triggers, and then working on the mindset to get you out of that.
Yeah.
And also, I'm so passionate. Sorry, I've got so much to say about this. So another thing to mention about imposter syndrome is it's not something that you can just overcome and then today you have it, tomorrow you don't. It's unfortunately, and when people say this, like, it makes me so sad because it is a work in progress. It is something that you have to really address, deal with, work through, and then come out on the other side. And if feelings start coming up again, then you have the tools and everything to help you, but you need to work through it and you can't just have a magic pill and suddenly overcome it.
Yeah. And I love how you start with that awareness part too, of really kind of separating what is, just normal self-doubt, which I think we all have, what's imposter syndrome. And then I think even the next level up, would be like an anxiety disorder where it becomes paralyzing. You can't even do the presentation at all, and that's definitely even more significant where you would need to potentially work with a therapist. But all of them definitely have the same solution a little bit when it comes to, it's about the doing. It's about the practice. It's about the habits and the behaviors and that type of thing, taking that action that you talked about.
Absolutely. Yes. And good distinction also that there is that next level after imposter syndrome, and that then, like you say, does potentially need different type of help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, when it comes to then so they've done kind of their little self-assessment, they're taking care of that. What are some of the practices, does vary depending on the situation, or are there some kind of key areas to focus on when you're addressing your imposter syndrome?
I think the biggest thing that I would like to mention is to set yourself up for success with intention. So we've already got all these negative things that we're thinking ourselves. Then externally, we're also being bombarded with all the negativity in the media. I mean, on the news, social media, everywhere. There's so much negativity around us. And we need to counterbalance what is going on externally and also internally. And in my mind, the best way to do that is, and you've probably heard of this, there's so many different names for these things, but to start something which is called either a courage journal or a brag book or a hit list or something like that, where you really start writing down everything that you have achieved. And it doesn't matter how big or how small the achievements are. Once you start getting into the habit of writing down everything that you have done and really seeing that you have been successful in multiple areas of your life, it starts building on that confidence and that intrinsic confidence. And when you write it down, it builds on that confidence. And then also when you have a low point or so, you can go back and start flipping through that and just really seeing, what, I have done this. I have achieved this. I am good at my work. I have, whatever achievements you can see, or maybe you've even gotten awards, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be that big, but you can actually physically see that you have done these things and you have achieved it. And it just slowly starts to balance things a little bit.
Yeah, I call mine my kudos file. It's
kudos
a file that I started about 20 something years ago. And every time I got like a thank you card or a note from a student or things like that, I just literally put it in the physical file. A lot of times I know they're digital now, so you can have like a digital file. And yeah, that's what I call mine, like kudos to me, that it's not always.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. And it makes a difference when you're just in a little bit of a lull or a bad point or so, and you can pull out a thank you from someone. Like, how wonderful is that? It just gives you that instant feeling of, okay, you know what? Having a bad moment, but look, I have done it. I can do it again. And that's, it's amazing.
It's almost like a professional gratitude journal a little bit,
yes.
A bigger piece of gratitude and focus it on yourself professionally as far as what you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. Yes.
What are some of the practices that you do on a regular basis to kind of help yourself through that?
So I try as much as possible to start my day off with intention. And I use the word try, and I know I've been so try is not always the best word, but I have 2 children. And sometimes if a child is sick or a child wakes up early or whatever, then you can put the best intentions out there and things change. And that's okay. So my very first thing that I like to do when I wake up is to just, before I even get out of bed, just be in bed, and just, even if it's just 1 minute that I have, is to be absolutely grateful for what I have. And everybody in any situation, you can find something to be grateful for. Be it your children are healthy, you're in a good relationship, you have a roof over your house, you've got food in your fridge, you've got good friends, you sleeping on a good mattress, like whatever it is, like there's something to be grateful for before I reach for my phone, before I engage in social media. And once I've done that, then I have either if the children are up, then deal with the children. If not, then I have my cup of coffee in my own time, and I start writing down my if I have time, the gratitude journal. Otherwise, I go straight to the brag book and just write down even if it's just 3 things that have come up that happened the last day or so, where I'm just thankful for them, or that I have achieved. And then once I've done that, then generally the family wakes up, and we start the day. But I feel that if you start the day with intention, and you don't go to your phone, and you don't go to all the other external things, but you take a moment to be internal first, it starts your day off on a much stronger, more positive, more intentional note.
Yeah, it's not always about the actions. I think we give actions more credit, but actually that intention has so much more impact and is so much more powerful, because
Absolutely.
It's with our mindset. It starts with our perspective, how we're looking at the day, all those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like I was mentioning, if for some reason you can't get to it in the day, it's okay. Life happens. Don't beat yourself up about it. Maybe you do it later in the day. Maybe you just couldn't that day. But the intention is every morning to be there, to start off like that in the best way that is possible.
Yeah. And so, one of the things I always ask my guests about as well is gratitude in general, because I think that's kind of an underutilized form of self-care. And so
100%. Yeah.
I ask you, would you say are some of the top 2 to 3 things you're the most grateful for?
Oh, 100% my family. So I have 2 beautiful boys. Baby is 1, and my eldest, who's also little, he's 3. My husband. And we moved to Canada about 7 years ago or so. Super grateful to be here. We live in the forest by literally the bears and the coyotes, and we even have what they call cougars here. And I'm so thankful to be. I know we're in like the wild, but it is such a beautiful place that we get to live in, that we get to call our home, that I'm just every day incredibly grateful for it. And I really, really, really try as much as possible to take both boys into the forest every day and just use this beauty that we have around us, and to all be grateful for that. It's incredibly uplifting and wonderful.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. So how can people find you, Romy? How can they work with you?
So I am pretty active on social media. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, everywhere, Romy V Coaching. I also have a website, romyvcoaching.ca. But pretty much in social media is the easiest way to find me.
Awesome. And all those links will be live in the show notes below. Thank you so much, Romy. The information was amazing as far as how to start at the beginning with the assessment, some simple basic practices that if you're listening today, you can start to work on, and then definitely connect with Romy on social media. So thank you so much for joining us, Romy.
Thank you, Daniela. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much, and talk to you soon. Bye.